So this is Plantation Generations. I actually wrote this on Father's Day last year for my dad. Gave him a framed copy of it. My grandfather went to war and back to get off pepperkale plantations. A bullet shattered his cheek and tore out his back, crawled to base till cuticles cracked, sent to military hospital to recover in Germany. Befriended an enemy who became a bedside neighbor and lifelong correspondence, just the kind of man he was. But not a response from home. His lover kept unopened letters stashed away. She didn't want him to leave. So instead of grief, she leaves the letters sealed in a corner, like her heart tucked in a chest. Edmund Camber loved to learn. But on pepperkale plantations, goals don't stretch past the next harvest. Dreams are the hardest because Icarus views of plantation stores and fields causes the wax to wane. Before morning light sneaks through window panes, morning the morning again. Edmund was offered an education, in town, off the plantations, but his father rejected the gesture. Couldn't let one of his sons run off and learn. Fields needed to be turned, teenage muscles burned, and sugarcane learns to fight back with every machete hack, slashing across where paper cuts could be. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, recruiters came to camp, and Edmund was one of the few who could sign more than just an X. On a German pastor, just like any other, my grandfather learned that scouts and snipers don't mix, and he was left for dead. Only him and God knew different. There is no confessional quite like a quiet foxhole. Scenic fields feel different, crawling on your belly, afraid of yelling in pain or for help. My grandpa's hardest footsteps are marked with bloody palm prints and shards of fingernails impaled in every next step dug in the soul. There was a woman at home, and sometimes that's enough. Purple-hearted in tow, he headed home, made my father, and gave him 2 brothers. See, my father was born plantation poor, where you needed to hustle for newspapers if you wanted to teach yourself to read, where your daily chores caused you to bleed, where you could have everything you could want and not enough of what you need. This is where my family tree sprouted its seeds. My grandfather killed grandfathers to see farther than the plantation, and I'm sure in his nightly conversations with God, he promised to never put his future generations in similar situations, determined to provide his offspring the opportunity through education. There's a grotto giving thanks to the Virgin Mary and St. Joseph in Hilo. My grandfather landscaped their campus so they would take his seeds, studied their school books alongside his sons, used his boys' lessons to pass engineering tests. My family has a history of following hearts rather than wallets. My grandma left the comfort of upper class to be the wife of a field worker, but she saw fire in his eyes and a desire to build aspirations that would span generations, and all 3 of her sons graduated past plantations. Ronald, my father, went further than island dreams, a local boy pursuing goals over an ocean, hoping to open doors locked to his dad. Being the first Canberra etched on a UH diploma was not enough. Grandpa said, "What's next?" And in search of higher rank, deployed to UH Manoa. And after the flashes, decorative stashes, Edmund stashes that degree to be hung and displayed and said, "What's next?" In Washington, he became a doctor of education and communication, found his other half, and came back home to make a family. Kicking and screaming, I'm following my parents' footsteps, but in my own path. Part sped, part higher education, part classroom, part administration, with no union for poet substitutes. So I fly without a net. Earn student respect, part because of what I am teaching, part for making it poetic, and entirely because I give it back. And now I'm proud of what I do. Help teens through hard times, through raw rhymes and free writes. But if you were to tell the teenager in me that I would grow to be a teacher, the class clown in me would have thrown something at you. The jock in me would have given you a wedgie, and the poet in me would have said nothing. Because at 17, I did not see a future in my feelings. Did not believe that education could provide like a jump shot. In basketball, you only need one bad fall to end it all. I've also learned that that's why Achilles is a suiting name. It's never the same. But in poetry, wrong falls make for more poetry. So I've got a litany of potential literature. But what I've really learned, doing what you love is more important than doing what you're told. But if you're going to break molds and rules, you need the tools to build a brighter tomorrow. So I use poetry to reach a generation with failed education but a passion to learn. And when it's their turn, take the bridges we burn and build on the ashes, wish from eyelashes, equality becomes our equation, when we leave no child behind, stuck on plantations. Thank you. So you can check that one out at Native Literatures, generations.com. And there's a contest right there, and so I'm in the running for a $1,000 prize. So I'm not saying you should vote for me, but voting is important.
And since you don't know anybody else,
Right, I'm just saying, default.
Of
This next one is this next one's about something that happened in Hawaii. Well, it's been an ongoing debate, and it actually has been coast to coast in different states under different names. But in Hawaii, it was House Bill 444. That's the bill for civil unions. And I was at the state capitol when the governor announced that they were, ironically enough, throwing it back in the closet. And they took the bill. They really took the bill that was supposed to be passed and threw it back inside the closet so they didn't want to have to make the tough decisions. And that's cowardly. So this is my response. So God's followers, his faith warriors, fighting for his message of love and righteousness. They were victorious once again, making sin and sacrament part of the state's commandments, and congregants and constituents shoved their public servants back into closets. HB 444, the bill, created and tried, came to be legitimately. It was born like that. Supreme Court had deemed it a necessity. Civil unions were meant to be, but this is a long journey, held up by a lingoberry. Lingoberry, noun, a political piece of crap that purposely holds up the natural legislative process, closely related to the dingleberry. Our governor's name is Linkle. She doesn't find me funny. I watch the virtuous in their clan-colored garb, and I pray that there are more gods than just this one, because I want no part in this faith. The same that would stone Mary after being raped. I see no God in this kind of hate, where two men in love are scorned, but a woman can walk down an aisle in unearned white with an unspoken son sitting shotgun. It will have the groom's smile, but the best man's eyes, so who's screwing who? And this mob, with kettle black tongues, spitting white lies, match their white t-shirts, covering pot bellies, guarding God-given rights with gluttony. The shadows and stones cast made lawmakers afraid to speak. Like Calvin Say forgot his last name. Like they all forgot to say anything. So Democrats, liberals, this blue state, home of hope and change, away. We let it wither and die away. Like a tear-drenched engagement ring, rusted but never worn. And this reminds me of slavery, suffrage, segregation, reproductive rights. The separation of church and state from laws and debates was set upon this country by God-fearing slave owners, because they had seen the power abused by other countries, like England and Rome and Egypt. And they just wanted to be different, because man has a tendency to make God in man's image and not the other way around. It would disgust you to see two gods kiss. Marriage as a legal binding contract has nothing to do with your church or his temple or her prayer book. Marriage is a borrowed idea, like baptism. One of my favorite teachers, Gay, brought his friend to the games, taught us about the world but couldn't tell us about himself. But history has taught me at one time Protestants and Catholics couldn't marry, that men hung from trees for kissing a person of another shade. Changing tradition is how history is made. A high school friend who's so uncomfortable with being himself that he now remains a mystery in the shadows of his own closet, built with walls of shame and careless names. And I can't help but think, at one time I was putting nails in his coffin, circled with cigarettes, coughing coolness and future regret. My first girlfriend, who I had so much in common with, including similar taste in women. Her perfect partner shares matching tear streaks and missing ring lines. To the student in my class, the last one I let down by saying nothing. While slingshots fracture glass houses, homophobic phrases have no place in education. It teaches young minds to feel shame for what their hearts tell them. But gay rights are making strides. They're lifting the veil and don't ask, don't tell, so men and women can be themselves, losing their lives, fighting for rights they won't be allowed. Republican fathers get found time and time again in compromising positions with intern men, and a wife's cancer can't keep a donkey in a terminal marriage. And this state thinks that couples with even more in common than perfect opposites can't live up to the state's shining example of sanctity and less than 50% accuracy of till death do us part. Okay, so those are from a poet's Hypocritical Oaf. Both of them are available. Also, if you go online on poorwettree.com, when I get back to Hawaii, I'm going to start posting my 365 poems in 365 days. So I'm on day, 35 or something like that, day 34. I'm gonna write about this place for tonight.
Hey!
Yeah, I'll be putting it up on Facebook soon. Or later. Okay, let's do something a little lighthearted. I'm only doing that because I'm gonna end with something heavy. No, I'm not gonna do lighthearted.
No.
It's kind of lighthearted. Sharing a pillow. Facing each other, we taste each other, devouring desire in small kisses and bites. Pleasuring an unappeasable appetite. Counting compliments you comment. As a poet, I'm particularly silent. It's not for lack of language or details deserving delicate descriptions I could catalog in dialogue. It's not that I'm insensitive or incapable. I truly find you insatiable. But I'm a puzzle poet whose confidence has been shattered, piecing together once mighty ego broken so long ago. Your kitten is getting my tongue tied in knots and I cannot quite express myself to you yet. Upon meeting, magnetic energy surrounded us, but I suppose it was the pool from two opposite personality poles. Surface similarities with deeper differences, yet strength from a weakness, spirit from a meekness. I love the rhythmic cadence you dance with. The expression of movement radiates a sensuality deep within you. A shining that blinds me from seeing the seas of anonymous faces and blurry bodies. You sparkle past the clouds of crowd. You fume femininity through human humidity. Every smile or sideways grin amazes my attention, and attracting me as you malform words in a second language I cannot understand. You speak a universal dialect. I try to lip sync, but my lips sink. Sorry. Sorry I've witnessed the worthlessness of words wasted and abused, truths stretched beyond a figment of my imagination. That my baggage is badly aged, that my luggage lags my emotional availability. I'm sorry, even after being intimate with you, I'm still intimidated by you. As we try charades and positions we play to imitate lovers without saying I love you. I've been down this road before and I hesitate because the street signs are always a mile late. I'm sorry I don't feel comfortable with someone finding me sexy when there's so much of me I'd change if I believed in miracles of magic or mystic messiahs or just had more motivation. See, I want to write love poems of romance and chivalry, but literally my leading age of literature has never been structured that way. There's always been a metaphorical twist of, or there's always been an emotional twist of a metaphorical knife attracted to my back. So I hesitate to write of you. Because it seems in the past, my protagonist of personal poetic passages passing my lips is a kiss of death to relationships. Like Judas, lockjaw, and Jesus, and my emotions betray me. You told me I need someone all in, or not at all. So I stand over this dark cliff, unable to see the bottom, or more importantly, where the end is. You asked me to jump. See, I've been cliff dive diving before, and I crashed into the rocks of emotional hang-ups, having a hard time adjusting my expectations mid-air. I'm sorry I'm scared. I'm sorry I'm ill-prepared. I talk more than I dare, and I'm a silent person. But you grab on to me like you love to handle. My love handles, but my love can't handle. You touching the skin I'm not comfortable in. I'm a beta male trapped in an alpha outfit, but the costume doesn't make the man. So I sit here rummaging through morning after disaster, sipping on stale wine, whining, writing about the rubble, the fallen pieces to a structure destroyed before the blueprints were finished. And I feel like we skipped a step. Like we got off on the right foot when I wasn't prepared to dance. And I can't dance like no one's watching. I can't sing like I'm in the shower. I can't love like I've never been hurt. I can't even kiss like I've never been bit. See, my breakfast is night-old wine and chain smoking. Regrets. I want to end the set with a piece that I've retired from competition because I don't feel comfortable doing this piece for scores because it's not for me. But this is one that I've done for countless violence against women organizations and stuff like that. And it's not an easy piece for me to do. It's not an easy piece to listen to. I realize that. But I think it's an important one to be heard, and especially for people like me to say something about it. Putting your lips on torn tulips requires extra care. Pleasure is a delicate balance between the moment and the memories. The ones branded in the back of her brain, because sometimes locked away is the only option. I kiss the scars from the tears to the tears. I can only comfort. I can't fight her fears. I wish I could appear adorning armor and a horse and chase every nightmare from her dreams. I feel blessed with the burden of learning that many of my girlfriends have been abused. Late night confessionals cross their lips like they had something to confess for failing to fight off a forced undress. And I can sense the built guilt. Shoulders wilt as I hold you tight like I could out-squeeze the fright. Put your weight on my shoulders. I want to lift you past the pain. Put feathers back on your wings so you can fly again, and I want to hold you. Let you know that it is not your fault. Your unheard screams deserved a halt, and as a man I stand. Branded with the knowledge that this is not uncommon, that there are more victims than we realize. And if we look at masculine attitudes with real eyes, it's no surprise. This attitude has been socialized. This isn't nature. Throughout history, we've attached shackles to our life bearers, striking a sexual sword against an umbilical cord that should have never been broken. This is for the unspoken. Afraid to raise their voice, worried about even being believed. How many of them were told not to make a scene? And I've said it before. Boys will be boys, and women use as toys if men continue to avoid our responsibility, teaching our sons, women are not our property. This isn't chivalry. This is humanity. Have you ever kissed the scars of a survivor? Felt the flinch of flesh fueled by forgotten fears flashing back. Seen your lover cower in covers because your silhouette reminded her of them or him. Have you ever kissed the scars of a survivor? I've been neck deep in passion, put on pause because my paws felt like the claws used to shred her trust. I've been waist deep in lust and stopped abruptly, interrupting the passionate acts that triggered her memory lapse to the last time she was vulnerable, and I can't help but crumble. Bearing the weight, I've stumbled and I'm humbled by your burden, but I don't claim to be perfect. In my past, I've lied to lay down, messed around with emotions, trying to dam an ocean controlled by lunatides. In between kisses, the truth gets tongue-tied. Have you ever kissed the scars of a survivor? This is a call for arms. Men, if you want to protect women from harm, respect is the best prevention, but not just for your lovers or family. Every woman is someone's daughter. Every girl victimized by a sinister mister could have been your sister. Every female friend that you've ever had has been afraid to walk home alone. Baby, I can't take the image of you being gang raped from your past. I can't erase the place that holds recollections of an acquaintance's unwelcomed instructions, or that man that failed to ask, or listen to a note, but I want you to know that I'll soak up every tear that glistens off your cheek because it must be scary to seek the touch of a man again. And I promise to listen, even if it is just as a friend. My body is shaped like the real original sin, making woman ashamed of her sexuality. Rape is a reality, where the casualties casually hide the scars of a survivor, and the only way you can truly taste their skin is to listen. Thank you very much, guys. My name is Darren Canberra. I represent Youth Speaks Hawaii. If you want to see more information, you can check out the Speak Your Soul website. That poem right there is called Scars, and that's actually on the Speak Your Soul website. So you can check it out. It's also on the CD. But yeah, I mean, please, thank you. Thank you very much for listening. You guys have been an awesome audience. I want to take a picture of you guys from the camera, though. So keep your applause going for me. Don't stop, don't stop. Yeah, that's all you guys. All right, you guys are going to see you guys on YouTube soon.